Thank you for joining us in this virtual tour of the Lois Jett Historic Costume Collection at Illinois State University. I'm Jennifer Banning, a professor in the Department of Family and Consumer Sciences. My specialty area is fashion design and merchandising, and I've been director of the collection since 2011. This is a favorite service opportunity of mine because it combines two of my passions, fashion history and collection management. So we're excited to show you a little bit more about the collection today. But first, a little background about the collection. It was started in 1962 by Lois Jett, who at the time was a new faculty member in the department. She thought that students would learn better if they could see real examples of content being taught in class. So the collection started as a teaching collection, and it remains so today as a valuable resource for supporting our courses in the department. Today, the collection has over 2,000 items of dress, things worn by men, women, and children back to the 1840s. Things like this man's corduroy jacket from the 1970s. This woman's paisley knit dress from the 1960s. And one of our more recent acquisitions, a little girl's dress from the last 10 years. In addition to clothing, we also have textiles dating back to the year 700 and associated artifacts such as commercial patterns, things that can help us learn more about dress that was worn at the time, how it was constructed, and how it was even marketed. Much of the work in the Lois Jett Historic Costume Collection is completed by our student interns. We have up to 2 each semester, and they complete their professional practice experience in the collection, working 10 hours a week throughout the semester, just learning all aspects of collection management. Some of the things that they do include planning and installing our gallery exhibitions, cataloging collection items through specialized software, and managing social media accounts, including Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and most recently, YouTube.
Hi, my name is Jay. I am a senior and I'm currently studying fashion design. This year I had the pleasure to actually be able to work in the collection this year. And basically one of our main responsibilities were to curate and develop a collection and an exhibition for everybody to come see. This process has possibly been like the best experience that I ever have had in the past year, and I'm grateful for it.
My name is Julie Mooberry, and I'm a senior here at Illinois State University, majoring in fashion design and product development. I will graduate in May of 2022 with my bachelor's degree, and then I will go an additional year and graduate with my master's degree in 2023. I have really enjoyed working as an intern here with the Lois Jett Historic Costume Collection, and one of the things that I enjoyed the most was managing the social media for their Facebook page. I enjoyed showcasing items in the collection that have exquisite craftsmanship and details in their sewing construction.
Most of our items of dress are hanging in our storage area, separated by decade, also organized by color and gender to make it easier to pull specific items out when we're using them in class.
So we have this pink, red, white, and blue trench coat. I picked this out from the 1960s. The reason I picked this out is because of the color. I think every time when I stepped into collection, this would be like the first item that I would like pierce my eyes at, and this was just a visual representation of like what this whole collection about, and this is why I decided to pick this garment. So we also have another jacket from the 1960s. This is a red and black jacket. This jacket was also worn by ISU. The N stands for normal. That's a fun fact. I just picked this item because I love the wear and tear, and I just love it.
We have many lovely items here in the collection that are too small and fragile to be hung, so they're in flat storage such as this. We have neckwear, handkerchiefs, jewelry, belts, scarves, and so on. One of my favorite things in this collection here are these stockings from the 1960s. They're pastel in color, and they would have been worn with a girdle and a garter belt. And they remind me of the rainbow weddings that were popular during that era.
Accessories include handbags, footwear, and headwear.
A range of accessories in the collection, from purses, shoes, to hats. And one of my favorite hats is this cloche from the 1920s. It's navy blue knitted, has a blue grosgrain ribbon and satin trim and lining around the edge. And it has these metal embellishments that appear to be hammered in versus sewn in. It's very uniquely made, and it's just very charming, and I really like it.
Items too delicate to be hung are boxed in storage in the back. Our library contains hundreds of books specific to just fashion and dress that students can check out to use. One of my favorite parts of the collection are the examples we have of world dress, such as this hanbok ensemble from South Korea. It's the traditional dress of South Korean women, and this particular example would have been worn for a wedding and then later on for special occasions such as holidays and New Year's. In our general education course, Cultural Diversity in Dress, students get to examine artifacts like this every single week in class, learning about the specific examples of dress they've learned about from the previous week. It's one of the students' favorite parts of the course, getting to see these textiles, these garments close up, all the intricacies of them, everything that makes them different, makes them unique, and helps them better understand cultures that they may not have been familiar with in the past. Our gallery space allows us to host exhibitions featuring items from the collection. All exhibitions are planned and installed by our interns. Our current exhibition features Broadway musicals and garments from the collection that are reminiscent of each production.
Our current exhibit here in the Lois Jett Historic Costume Collection is Broadway Baby, Fashion on Stage. We have a wide range of musicals represented here, and we have garments from our collection that are representative of the items used in the musicals. For example, Elle Woods wore pink in Legally Blonde, and this item from the 60s is very reminiscent of what Elle wore in the movie. And the fun example is from Grease. When Sandy was in the scene where she was at the sleepover and singing, she was wearing a nightgown very similar to this one. Something costumers have to take into consideration is how a garment will read from the stage. Oftentimes they use exaggerated features and exaggerated colors so that the item can be seen and experienced from even the back row of the theater. This garment in this vivid purple, for example, could be seen anywhere within the facility, or this dress that represents Evita would be washed out and after the 5th or 6th row would pretty much be lost. Another thing that is very important when deciding on what costumes to use for production is if they're historically accurate. We have examples here from the color purple from the early part of the 20th century, kinky boots from the mid part of the 20th century, and rent from the latter part of the 20th century. And each garment is very representative of the play that they are associated with.
So this year I actually got the opportunity to design a window display. One of the main inspirations for this window display was Cruella de Vil. As you can see, she loved a lot of fur, and that's one of the things that I really wanted to incorporate into this window display. I love the fact that I got to have fun and got to play with my ideas and integrate different textures into the window displays. So honestly, I loved it.
Thank you again for joining us today. It's been our pleasure to show you around one of the greatest resources Illinois State has for its students.